Good morning. How is everybody today? All right, guys. So please, if you would like a reading today, make sure you follow my page. Always appreciate the follow. Always appreciate a share. But otherwise, please feel free to comment with your questions. Always takes a second for it to come through, so I'll just sit here for a moment. Nice. All right. Let's get this show on the road. Good morning, good morning, good morning. If you're here, leave me a comment. Let me know that you're here. Always takes a second for it to kick in, as I say, but I am here doing some free readings for a wee while. So if you would like a reading, please follow my page and then just drop me a comment. You can ask for a general read. You can ask a specific question. No legal, no health, and no pregnancy questions on the live feeds. All right, Michelle Wheeler. Good morning, Liz. I'd love a card pulled. Perfect. All right, Michelle. Nice. I'm going to give you this exactly as I got it in my little head, right? You got the change of luck card that sits there, and it talks about energy shifting for the better. And as I was sitting and shuffling with your cards, I took a moment, took a breath, and sort of reflected back. The second I put this card down, it's like I heard your sarcastic head going, yeah, right. Okay. Now you've got the growth card that's there, which talks about opportunity, potential, awareness, and all of those kind of little bits and pieces. You've also got the spirit card, and I think that, you've been around my page long enough to know this deck here, it's a psychic deck, but the spirit card come in because spirit wanted to be mentioned, and so as much as I always sort of just jump over that card, I actually have a lot of faith within this, that when this card does appear, spirit is around. They're letting you know that the energy is there. And I get it. It doesn't provide all of the answers sometimes and those things. It's interesting as I sit with you, there's this continued kind of like, yeah, but it's not the solution kind of energy that's there with it. All right. So when I'm sitting with you, I do feel like there needs to be a little bit of, I don't necessarily want to say stepping back, but letting go as far as it's people's actions, behaviors, those kind of little bits and pieces. And this isn't a negative, like, I don't want to be with you anymore, I don't want to connect with you anymore, the kind of energy that's there. It's simply just recognizing that people have their own paths, their own journeys, and those kind of little bits and pieces that's there. And if we step back with that and allow that energy to come back to ourselves a little bit more, it's going to serve you better. Don't be afraid to advocate with yourself. I feel like you've got an underlying tone of knowledge when it comes to things about yourself, and yet you're getting fed information up here. By no means do I say displace, the experts and those kind of little bits and pieces, but I feel like you're putting pieces together of a big journey that's there, okay? And you're starting to understand yourself a little bit better. So don't be afraid to advocate through that side of things. There's almost like let's just call it a heat that rises, when we think about the body and those kind of little bits and pieces. And you're right in what you're thinking. I'm deliberately jumping around and giggling to myself because I specifically said a couple of minutes ago, don't do health readings on lives, and I don't. So keep that in the context of which it is. But I'd very much want to say to you, just don't be afraid to advocate for yourself, ask questions, those kind of little bits and pieces, but don't hold on to what you're not able to actually really, something you're not able to change it, but it's just not my circus, not my monkeys. Okay, Michelle, I'll leave that there with you. All right. I always forget to put the messages up sometimes. Oops, no, I don't want to delete the comment. I want to show the comment. Sorry, Jodie, almost deleted your comment. Hi, Liz. Hope you're having a good week. Would love a message if you have something for me, please. And thanks. Sorry. Just added my own words in there. I hear you. Oh, don't worry about it, Liz. I'll tell you a funny story in a second. I just want to focus on Jody. All right. Jody, you've actually got a really nice, vibrant energy in and around with you. And again, I feel like you kind of almost will go, actually feel quite heavy. And look, it's a work in motion that's there with you. I want to say to you, it's like just that, we've got 100 things sitting in front of us, 20 things sitting in front of us. And it's like, oh my God, but just doing each thing step by step by step. And I don't even need to be like overwhelmed with that or deep with that energy that's there. It's just like, gee whiz, you've got a lot on your plate. Make sure you're taking things step by step by step and remembering to breathe through that, okay? I feel like you've got some choices and decisions that are coming up around with you. And when I say that they impact on your direction, I want to say to you that they impact on there's a financial thing that's here with it, but it's interesting because I keep going like this with it, and there's different location, different work. Now, I don't want to be overly dramatic and go, oh, you're about to move and change your job and do all this sort of stuff that's there. What I want to say to you is that the decision process that I feel is coming behind that feels like we're thinking about longer, sort of bigger pictures and those kind of little bits there. This feels like an unfolding energy, okay? So it feels like we've got, the awareness, your desire, those kind of little bits and pieces, but we're going to pull in some more information. And this feels like it almost travels over the next 12 months. And so I just want to say to you, just as it keeps coming back to you, like, where am I going? Those kind of little bits and pieces that's there. Feed them thought, because where your thought processes are sitting are right. Okay, I feel like you're making some very strategical decisions ultimately at the end of the day. Your cards, trust your intuition. Okay. Be mindful of where your intentions are sitting. So energy goes where energy flows. Make sure you're focusing on what it is that you do want. And you've also got the Take 5 card there, which just talks about rest and restoration and recuperation and those kind of little bits and pieces. And that's where I kind of wanted to emphasize just on that step by step by step, because in one hand here, it feels like really overwhelming. And I almost want to be cheeky with you and go, no. Look, it's really actually easy. And that's because you do have that energy to see that through. So I'll leave that there with you. Take a breath. And thank you very much for joining me. All right. What do we say here, Michelle? Thanks again, Liz. Once again, spot on. Thank you for your beautiful guidance. Wishing you a fabulous day. Thank you very much, Michelle. All right. So, guys, just as you're starting to filter in, sorry, Michelle, so got your comment. So, guys, just as you're starting to filter in, please feel free to comment more than once. The comments do move quite quickly sometimes, and so it's easier just for me to catch up with the comments. Please don't go boom, 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 though, as far as it sits up, because honestly, it's just annoying. And other than that, always appreciate a follow on my page if you are going to ask for a reading. All right. There's not too many to catch up on here, so we'll do a little bit of a list down. All right, catching up a little bit. Sorry, the messages went from one thing to another. There she is. Angela, I wanted to grab you. Angela Hoban, would love a card. All right, Angela, what is it you need to know from me today? Me as the messenger, I am reminded. Angela. You got a nice sprightly energy around you, and I'm just going to give you my thought processes as I sit and I pull with your cards, okay? But you've got your little picture up there, and I've kind of, just zoomed in, seen that photo, those kind of little bits and pieces, and the energy that kind of jumps off of that. And I don't want to portray it to, I know that there's more than one of yous in there, so it's not about that, but I am drawn to your friendship energy in and around with that. Getting lots of little bits and pieces about sometimes the hands we hold or the hands we hold down. Gee, you've got a bright spark. Don't be afraid to move forward. You're going to keep hold of your great friends, those kind of little bits and pieces. You've got a really strong creative energy around you, and I feel like it's really starting to, look, I still feel like there's a lot of growth there, so I don't want to over-exaggerate, but I want to say it's starting to pay off and come into fruition, but there's got to be choices and things like that. If we put in the time and the elements here, like I'm going to put in this big chunk of work here so that I've got this reward here later, okay? And I feel like you're kind of almost several steps ahead of that with several people around you. It's not a negative energy, and as I say, you'll keep what's true around you, but just don't be afraid to kind of step outside and keep moving forward. Those that are meant to stay will, okay? So take a chance. Nothing changes if nothing changes, and you've got some really nice opportunity around you. Again, there's still a long learning lesson that's here and growth and everything else, but the opportunity is there. Don't be afraid to put things into fruition. You've got improvements of self and situations, but again, I feel like it's almost kind of almost dependent on that energy of going, you know what, I am going to suck it up here and put in a little time and effort and things like that. You've got recognition attached to your creativity, definitely. You've got the completions card, okay, which talks about one door closing and another one open. But the biggest thing that I always draw to with this card is the regeneration that comes with it. Okay, you may feel like some things have just sort of disappeared quite quickly. You didn't have a lot of choice in the matter. All of that energy that's there with it, but you know, as cliche spiritual as it sounds, I do absolutely believe that the universe at times just sort of wipes that energy out. You know, I can sit here within my business, for example, and 6 weeks from now look at my books and go, gee whiz, it's looking really quiet there. You know, da, 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 da. And as soon as I see that now, I've learned to eat the chicken soup or do this or do that, because it's like spirit knows, you're going to be sick there. It's going to back your work off a bit. And without fail, you know? And I've been watching that for like 20 years. And this is the same kind of energy that's there with it, all right? Just be mindful. You've got a very strong manifesting energy that's there. So if you wallow in misery, for example, then misery is what wallows with you. So just, you're a bit of a master of your own pathway at the moment. And I very strongly advise you to take the one that scares you the most, because you'll have lots of information, lots of facts and everything else, but it's the one that's going to take you on a big magical journey. Okay. I hope that helps. Thank you for joining me. All right, Kathy, can you see if I'm making the right decision in my work life? Let me explain now. It's not that you're not making the right decision. I just feel that this particular step and stance isn't working out quite how you want it to be. I'm just trying to sit with that a little bit of a moment. Okay, all right. There's almost like there's a lack of resources that come in and around this role that's there with it. But I've got to say to you, I feel like part of your job is advocating for those resources almost, you know, putting systems into play better, those kind of things. And so keeping that in the umbrella that it's supposed to, because I don't feel like you're coming and going, I'm the new systems manager, I'm here to blah, 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 blah. I feel like it's almost like just discovers in your job. It's like, gee whiz, where's the pens? Where's the paper? Don't over exaggerate that as far as it sits. But you're sitting in a point in time there where this is your job and this is your role. Okay. So keep that in mind. You've got a couple of choices here. This job feels like it's got some longevity as far as it goes to, and I'm not talking about just you making a direct job switch as far as it sits, but there is longevity around you at this point in time. You don't need to do anything, but I would implore you to notice when you start to feel like you've hit your roof limit and yet your compassion's kind of tying you to where you are. Think about the compassion for yourself and where it is that you want to go. There's a lot of energy that's here. And I'm not saying that you're on this big, like, I can move up and do this and do that and all the rest of it. But you're going to come to a point in position where you recognize, it's funny, it goes, you recognize what's broken and then you get in a position where you're able to fix some of it, but it means that you have to pack up and leave from where you are as far as the work side of things go. So, when you bring it back to, am I making the right decision in my work life? Look, there's a whole story here that I can sit here and just unfold with it. So I'm going to go, yes. Just such is life as far as its ups and downs and trials and tribulations. And these decisions that you're making are going to bring a lot more than what you bargained for. But please note the cheeky smirk on my face as I say that. All right. I am going to catch up with the comments. So if I have missed you, please feel free to comment more than once. Always appreciate if you are following my page before you ask for a reading. I don't check. I just appreciate it. All right. Let me just jump back up just a second. Hey, you know what I got? It's funny. Why is this not scrolling? There we go. No one's allowed to be offended. My little Care Bears. I always use Care Bears in readings. Why? Yes, I'm drinking a crappy, shitty drink in the morning, but that's me today. Care Bears, think about it. Okay, so Care Bears use their belly. And we think about that area, that's our solar plexus. And I always say to people, Care Bear them. If you ever find yourself in conflict with somebody or in a situation where you're like, this person's really bugging the crap out of me, Care Bear them, okay? So send them love, send them energy, all of those kind of little bits and pieces that's there with it. Compliment, not to a brown nose fake point, but you get what I'm saying, because you're throwing out love and light and those kind of little bits and pieces that's there, and that person won't know what to do with it. And you'll find it'll feel awkward at first, and then they'll actually start to warm up. And you'll find that for the most part, people that you sort of clash with like that, there's an energy in between that just sort of needs to be cleared away. So Care Bear people. Yeah, all right. Stop dribbling on, Liz. Let's keep going. I know. I've got 3 of them. The other one just says effort, and the other one says you're a and I can't bring that one out professionally, obviously. All right, I keep seeing this comment here. I'm going to draw on this one and then keep going. All right, Sharon, do you see any changes happening for my daughter, please? It's like there's been plans set in play. This is what we've wanted to do, and then they haven't been able to come into play for whatever reason that's there. I feel like that opportunity will come back around, but by the time that your daughter actually hits them to that point, I feel like she's feeling more connected to where it is that she actually wants to be going. Okay, so it's almost like a missed opportunity then allows the opportunity to see another open door. It'll come back around though. It'll come back around. Something that's going to take a little bit of time. And, you know, it's funny. I feel like this is multifaceted. I feel like I could focus in on one main point here, but then as I try to do that, I get shown all this other sort of energy beneath it. That means that this is running into several sort of areas of life. Again, don't feel the need to be over dramatic with that, but I'm definitely sitting with it. There's been some hostility here. If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. It's funny, I sit with my 2 sayings, my Care Bears and my ducks. But yeah, if it looks like a duck, sits like a duck, and walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. Out with the old and in with the new. Now see what's been shuffled from the stable that's there. And then you've got the healing card that's there, which talks about being patient but allowing the healing to come in. It's funny, I came in on this level that's here with it because I feel like there's top things being impacted, but now I'm sort of sitting down in all of this. You can probably see my tone, my energy, and even my sort of reflection has shifted and changed. I do want to say to you again that there's a journey that sits in and around with this. I don't believe that the outcome's exactly what we think it's going to be or what we exactly want it to be, but it's definitely going to be sufficient and then some. As far as it sits, as I said, when I sit with the like, there's been some hostility here and things like that. We recognize who doesn't have our back and all these kind of little bits and pieces. There's a big, it's like I'm sitting on 2 tangents there, okay, the self and the business as far as it sits. And so I'll let that all make sense to you as far as it goes. But the things that are happening there in front, lessons learnt as far as it goes, okay, lessons learnt. And as far as the self goes, lessons being learnt, okay. I'll leave that there with you and I hope that it helps. All right. Yes, but you know, if we've got 100 things, there'll be like 70. Yeah, okay. A little bit of damage, those kind of things. I don't want to get too zealous with it, but there's a crankiness that's there, but there's also a sense of finalization that comes through with it as well. Okay, ride their butts. All right, there's a couple more that I'm going to jump onto there as well. But Catherine Budge could really use some guidance if there are any messages for me, please. I'm just going to pull you some cards on what it is that you need to know most. While I'm giving the cards a little bit of a shuffle, I'll let you know I'm really excited. At the end of August, I am going to be at Belgian at the Body, Mind and Psychic Fair at Ballina RSL. Pre-bookings are open for that as well. All right, Catherine. Yeah, all right. There's improvements of self and situations sitting there, okay? But a little bit of patience that needs to come into play. Why? Because we're running around in a little bit of a circle at the moment, okay? And so this card here, where are you? This is the biggest card in my deck. And when I sit with your energy with it, I feel like we need to sort of come back and, you know, I'll say kick our butts a little bit as far as it goes, because it's like, again, we're running around in a circle, even though we can see that the door's there, but it's like that. If we go through that door, we feel like we're letting somebody down, or we're feeling guilty, or, you know, do we have the self-worth to do all that energy and those kind of little bits and pieces? always with respect that I speak, but I have such a short time that when I sit here on the lives that I like to just, try to also be quite straightforward with it. And so it feels like you're cutting your nose to spite your face. And I want to say that in the most gentle way because, as I said, I can feel the compassion and all of that sort of stuff behind it. Okay, but there are solutions that are sitting there. And that's where I say, I feel like if you come back to this card asks you, if what you have right now is what you're going to have forever, is it enough? And when that answer leads to a no, you've got to sit back and go, okay, well, what comes up in that? I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with this. And then sort of coming back and recognizing the choices and decisions that need to be made around those as well. This is not an easy card. It's not an easy energy. But I don't feel that your energy is actually going to start moving forward for you until you kind of sit back and go, you know what? I am actually pretty awesome and pretty amazing and all of those kind of little bits and pieces. And I get that there's external influences around you, but as I'm talking, I'm getting that sense of cage in and around people. But I'm very clearly shown as well that, again, it's just that step by step. There are processes and avenues and all of those kind of little things that are there around you. Yeah, it's very easy to sit here and throw, there's avenues and there's processes. I don't want to underestimate or whatever that word is there, undervalue the energy that I feel here in and around it. But you're a very strategic person, but I just feel like your compassion's getting in the way of your own self. And so I'll leave that there with you, and I hope that it helps. Don't be afraid to do you and step back and to push a little bit back harder on others. Am I wasting the time with the guy I have a connection with? Please and thank you. Look, we always need to make that choice and decision for yourself as far as it sits, Janice, but looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. Ultimately, at the end of the day, ask, am I wasting my time with the guy that I have a connection with? My question to you is, how do you feel? The questioning, the all those other little bits and pieces that's there, because I feel like that's your answer. It's like, is that the way that we're supposed to be? And the interesting thing is there is a nice energy that's attached here, but it's like, be here or don't be here. This energy of is just making me do my head in. So then we've got to sit back and go, okay, well then why are we letting that happen? And that's where I say to you, how are you feeling right now? Is this how you want to feel? That's your answer. Okay. Let me pull you a couple of cards. Nice. Okay. This card kind of validates what I was just sitting there with. They're like, don't be afraid to blow a bit of smoke up their butt. Don't be afraid that your boundaries are going to come in, your desires, your wishes, your wants, and all of those kind of little bits and pieces. If we don't speak up, we can't be heard. Okay, so make sure you're actually being brave here as well, not just. And when I say not just waiting for them to come in, it's not like you're sitting back, they can do all the work, but you've got to kind of put some stuff on the line here as well. So don't be afraid just to push a bit here, all right? You've got the regroup, recuperation, rest, and mindfulness, and all of those kind of little bits and pieces. You've got the it's time, you know it, and you feel it. And it was interesting, as I said, I went boom, and then I'm like getting these, be afraid to blow a bit of smoke up his bum, blah, 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 blah. And then I get the intentions card. So where does yours lay? If it's fraught with worries, concerns, and insecurities, then that is what you have right now. And my advice to you is run. Okay. And it's not because it's coming from them, it's because the energy just exists. But yeah, does it have to be that way? All right. And so I'm going to let you ponder on what I've just said there, and just again, always with respect that I speak, but we do have to take responsibility for our own actions sometimes and our own perceptions and things like that. Definitely not throwing this all back on you. But as I said, I don't feel that this relationship's actually had an opportunity to have its boundaries established or challenged. Okay, so I'll leave that there with you, and I hope that it helps. All right, I'm going to catch up with the comments. Please feel free to comment again if I have missed you. Nice. Then yeah, settle within that, and don't be, as I said, don't be afraid to be a little bit more braver. Hey Rhonda, hey Tinkerbell. Nice. I just did a quick scroll up to see if sweet. Yes, let me grab you all. Hello, liked and shared. Any messages for me, please? Going to pull you, you know what, it's nice as I come in with your energy that's there. It's truly nice and fresh. I feel like your mindsets, your motivations, those kind of little bits and pieces. It's interesting. I'm battling in my head. It's like you've got this little angel and devil that live on your shoulder, and some days they got you just cruising through, and other days they're like, what are you doing? Why are you doing it that way? How come? And I just feel like right now there's this really nice fresh energy. And when I sit with that and I say that, I feel like you're kind of like going, hey, listen, bud, go, shush, all right, I got this. And just, it's like I don't want to be cliche when I say it, but it's like you're stepping just a little bit more stronger into your own energy at the moment. You've had some recent sort of insight, understanding, awareness, and with that's become some clarity. And so it's just, there's a very busy energy around you for the next 12 months, a little bit of trial and error and those kind of little bits and pieces. It's like you're putting those thoughts and fruitions into practice and experience and just working out what works and what doesn't. Let me sit with your cards for a moment. It's funny, I've actually, for the first time, I wanted to smack my hand to go, nope, not that card. Nice, okay. The grounding card. The grounding card can seem like such a simple card, hey, like, oh, ground, like, duh. But when we're such a big energy and such a big system unto ourselves as well, grounding is actually very important. And so I feel like you understand the depth of the meaning with this card here of just keeping yourself grounded, connected. You've got a really nice, strong connection with your guides and those kind of little bits and pieces around. And it's interesting because as I lay this card down and ready to move on to the next, what I get is a message of going, you need to keep the highway really super clear because it's very busy at the moment. There's a lot of information going back and forth. You've got the growth card that's there, which talks about opportunity and awareness and potential and all of those things. I've got 2 Tree of Lives in my deck here. I strongly resonate with the Tree of Life. And so it means a lot to have this tree here as far as it sits. We think about growth and abundance and everything that a tree can provide. I won't get too trippy hippie with it, but there's a lot of energy that's here with it. And so I'm getting excited for you. Improvements of self and situations, that's there with it. And again, that doesn't come without loss of some energies of people around with you. As we grow, we also learn what lines with us better. And I just feel like it's just that, okay, it's just some people are here for reasons and some people are here for seasons. And I don't want to be overly dramatic with that. All I want to say is just trust your own gut, trust your own instinct. And if somebody's offering you something, just check in and see that it's an equal serve and isn't just something that's serving them, okay? So I'll leave that there with you and I hope that helps. All right, I'm going to do Yvette and then I'm going to catch up with the comments again. Hi, hon, may I have a card, please? And thank you all. So again, just as given the cards a quick shuffle, for those of you just joining me, my name's Elizabeth Bratcher. I'm a psychic medium. When I do the live feeds, I read with my Elizacle deck. I made this deck about 8 years ago. And what's really interesting? In the last couple of days, holy crap, I've never had such a strong draw to publish this thing as what I have been sitting on the last couple of days. Even last night, I reckon I was in bed about like 1 o'clock in the morning thinking about the fact that, Anyway, stay tuned. After 7 years, you might just all see it published. All right, Yvette, let me bring my energy back to you. You got a jumpy. I'll just let it take it there. Holy cow. All right, you're going everywhere. Let's go. Oh. Nice. All right. Okay. It's interesting, your energy, whenever I pull the cards and they go everywhere, sometimes that's a reflection of my lack of focus, other times it's a reflection of your energy jumping everywhere. And I know once I bring my energy back into place, once they're jumping, that it's yours. And so when I sit with you, you've got your 2 little jump cards that's there, okay? Let me sit with your cards. You've got the crossroads, which talks about direction and changes and decisions that need to be made. And we need to think about, do we take the road less traveled? Do we take the road that's got the street lights? Oh, I can see where I'm going. Yep, fantastic. If we always follow the paths of habit, then we're going to always follow the same paths that's there. And so the interesting thing is this card here that comes, okay, this is my maybe card. And so it talks about the fact that there are lessons within, okay? There are lessons within. I always say that you're on the right path, but you're not meant to have all of the answers right now. You've got that freedom card that sits as a little bit of validation. And yes, this is my original bootleg deck, so occasionally you'll see watermarks and those kind of things. But it talks about release, self-love, and determination. Okay, and so when I sit with your jump cards and say, I just want to go, you've got the patience card and you've got the self-love card. This card, I say self-love even though it says love, because this card isn't about relationships. It's about the fact that you know yourself well enough to stand in your truth, your honor, and your awareness, and you're being called to do so. You're an interesting read because, as I say to you, as I sit and I continue pulling your cards, it's like you've got some work to do. You need to pull up the sleeves ahead of you. You know the choices and decisions that you need to be making to put things better into alignment. And you know what? It always, I get it. It comes up all the time. Like we've got compassion of other people, family, friends, work, and all of these other things that are there around with us. But if we spend our lives forever considering somebody else and never putting ourselves first, then it's just, is the result of that. And it's not about dismissing everything. But again, I just, very gently, I say, do we have reasons or excuses? Okay. And so I'm going to leave that there with you. And I hope that it helps. Okay. Probably left it on a little bit of a harsh note. We've got reasons or excuses. But what I mean by that is if we sit truthfully with ourselves, we can work out pretty soon that the reasons that we offer are reasons for us to hide, to find comfort in our fear and not have to deal with things, to not make other people feel bad, and that's where I say, are they excuses or are they reasons? All right. And so I'll leave those thoughts there with you, and I do hope it helps. All right, now catch up with comments. Oh, nice. My hair looks great. I'm going to do this. Okay. So I've got one more appointment next Monday. Check me out. I've got my hair cut. It is the third time I've been to a hairdresser in 20 years. Me and my hair have a little bit of a ADHD thing going on. So thank you very much. It feels nice. She blow dried it and stuff. Oh, God, small things, hey. All right. It would be great if you published your Elizical deck, as I would like one. Karen Heath and Wayne Foster. Use pair are the cabs off the rank, mate. They're absolutely for those cards. All right. I can't see your comment, what it says. Let's bring you up. Oh, you just got lots of little emojis. Nice. There we go, Lynn. Just wondering if you have a message for me, please. Thank you, Lynn. All right. I'm just going to acknowledge for a second, and it's, that's fine. You've got a beautiful energy that comes in and around with you. Okay, she's a shorter lady, and I do feel like I'm connected to a grandmother energy or an energy that's there. But it's funny. I'm wondering if either of those two are even the correct term. But she's a shorter lady. I want to give her some voluptuousness. I do feel like I've been taken back with her, so I don't feel like I'm sitting with her right at her passing, or those kind of little bits and pieces. But there's such a gentleness and such a little delight in like the small things and those kind of bits and pieces that's there. Again, I can see your photo that's attached with, just next to your name and those kind of bits. And all of a sudden, I just get her energy that comes up. Oh, it's such a beautiful day. She has a little bit of a giggle about, the typical shenanigans that happen and those kind of things that's there. I feel like I'm quite poignant to one person that's there with it. But I just want to say to you, before I even sit and just draw your cards with you, her beautiful energy comes and stands in there next to you and just talks about resilience and those kind of little bits and pieces that's there. There's a person that's connected quite close with you at the moment that's needing some extra support and those kind of bits and pieces. But she's like, it's all right, you've got this and it'll be worth it in the end. Okay, so I just want to give that to you. Let me pull you a couple of cards. I want to see what comes out for you. Okay. So you've got the security card that's there, okay? And it talks about the fact that you are safe in your choices and your decisions, all right? You've got the love card that's there, which again talks about the fact that you know yourself well enough to stand in your truth and your happiness and your desires. Don't be afraid to make the choices and decisions that you guys know are right for you as far as it sits, okay? It is time, you know it and you feel it. And I want to say to you that the choices, the knowledge, the insight that comes in and sits around with you, especially over the next several months, I implore you to really pay attention to that and to follow what it is actually trying to show you and where it's trying to take you, all right? Because it's time. You know it, you feel it. All right. I'm going to leave that there with you, and I hope that helped. course. If drawn to me, I would love some cards today for any updates in my life. It's funny, the very first thing that comes up with that is there is a clinical update. And so it's like, again, just on the live feed, so just keeping it all in context as far as it goes, but something that you work with and, you know, that helps you working with yourself that's there. It's almost like, okay, if we needed a wheelchair, for example, but there's only been walking sticks up until this point, and so all of a sudden you've got an option here to have this little bit of a nicer, it's almost like it's just making processes and some systems easier around you. It doesn't feel like it's directly with you. As I said, it's like the bigger picture is just coming in and benefiting you. Updates is funny. The first thing that comes up, it's like, well, there's this clinical update. All right, let me pull you a couple of cards. Yeah, okay, fair. So I'm being shown as well. It's funny, as I've just sat and given you what I've given, and as I sit and I'm pulling your cards and those kind of things, I'm taking forward just, I feel like over the summer months, and that's pretty much what I hear as well, that's there. And what I hear is that the support will be there, okay? You've got a little bit of a checklist that sits there as well. And it's interesting because as we're talking about clinical updates and those kind of little things that are there with it, I'm showing that there's just this little bit of a, almost like a little bit of a hill that's sitting there in front of you, and that's where that support energy is actually going to come in. And there's also things around the home that come up quite strongly with that as well. So I almost want to say to you, and I say it with absolute respect, but don't panic or get too concerned about things that you don't feel like you've got a lot of control over right now, or that have been like recently you feel like you've lost control over. It has to go through a process and turn over a little bit, that's there with it. But this isn't the way things are from here on, okay? It's just not. But again, I just feel like there's a little bit of a hill that's there first, all right? Let me pull you a couple of cards. Okay. So you've got the beautiful spirit card that's there, okay? And again, I think you've sat on my lives long enough to know that I absolutely believe that when this card comes out, it is a wonderful reminder from spirit that they are sitting around with us, okay? And that's where I say there's a little bit of uncertainty at the moment, confusion and clouded judgment that's there. So just make sure you're making decisions and choices for the long term at the moment, because I do not feel that the energy that is here to stay. And if we make too many choices and decisions that I feel like are compensating around with that, then we almost not cut ourselves off from being able to move forward. But it's like if I take $5 now, or if I leave it and I get $50 there, it's like, just you know, it's not a money thing, but you get what I'm saying. So just make sure, even though it feels like it might be a little bit challenging right now, that we're still keeping that optimism and making choices and decisions that are going to serve us better for tomorrow, not make things easier today. Okay, so I'll leave that there with you, and I hope that it helps. All right. You know what, Kylie, you'll love me in a second, because I never answer that question. Is the man I'm meeting on the date the one? Like, imagine I say to you, oh yeah, he is, and then, you know, it turns into some kind of twin flame. Yes, notice the sarcastic around twin flame energies that come up, and da. And so I'd like to think I can give you enough insight and guidance for you to make your own choices and decisions around it. But is this person the one? That is something that you need to feel in your soul, and let you and nobody else ever be the ultimate decider of that. Okay, let me pull you a couple of cards. I will say to you, don't judge too quickly. Not that, you know, you come in bitchy or anything, but just don't judge too quickly. You get to take a little bit of time to get comfortable. So do they. You've got a very interesting person on your hands here. I feel like you'll definitely never be bored with anecdotes and stories and fun facts and those kind of elements. And, you know, a little bit of outside of what you're almost normally used to as well. And that's where I say, just don't come in too quick with a decision overall here, okay? Give yourself space and time to actually play. You've got the Unity card there, which talks about loves and relationships and trust. Now, look, I've got two love cards in my deck. One of them is about the fact you know yourself well enough. This one here is my grandparents, who, if alive, still would be married today. You know, that long eternal love side of things that's there. So it's just that gentle reminder. The energy is here in and around with you. And there is lots of support. You are supported. You're not alone, and I think that again is just a little bit of a reminder not to make quick decisions and be open to embracing the changes. All right. As I said, I don't think that you're going to be walking into 100% of what it is that you expected. And let's keep that in context, because you can see I've got a smile on my face, and it's not like, you thought he was 6 foot and you walk in and he's 4 foot tall or anything else like that. It's just more so quirks can be cool, and I think you're going to meet a couple. All right. Have fun. You're very welcome, Karen. Very welcome. Would love some guidance, if possible, on purchasing a property and if it will work out the way that we are hoping. My sarcastic head straight off the back goes, does it ever? But, with that, it's like, oh, yeah, the real estate took an extra week, or, we got into the house and the dishwasher was dirty, or, so I can have a little bit of a giggle because it is just around energy like that. You've actually got a nice flow that's here. If you're hyper focused on one particular property right now, there's a reason for that, and not, oh, I like it. There's another reason. There's still a few little hoops that would need to be jumped through, and a little bit of compromise and pulling of things as far as it sits on a house right now. Overall, the energy is there. It's almost like the I'll say opportunity has come up just a little bit quicker than what we expected, so we might need to sort of fumble a little bit. But again, I want to just keep that in context as far as it goes. Let me pull you a couple of cards. I had both the it's up too high. I got the other set up there, and I could not quite work out for some reason how to get the volume quite down on there. So every time I spoke, it was reverberating back. Otherwise, you would have had the camera on the cards today. I almost had it worked out. All right, so you got your health card that's there, which talks about making choices and decisions and paying attention to the long term. Okay, and so look after yourself essentially with that one. I'll come back. You've got the cycles cards that's there, which talks about beginnings and endings being a natural order and moving on towards better things. And so, as I say, there is a very constructive energy that's here. Just, I don't want to be overly dramatic with that and go, don't break yourself doing it. As far as it sits, it just feels like things are moving a little bit quicker than what was expected. And so we're having to haul butt a little bit, all right? But overall, beginnings and endings being a natural order, being allowing ourselves to move forward. So there's definitely a strong energy that's here, but it's just not without some trials and tribulations at the moment, all right? I'll leave that there with you. I hope it helps. Sure. Yeah, Kylie, need an open mind. You do, absolutely, but that's general. Is what my head's going. I want to say to you, pay attention to the quirks or that's a bit, because you're going to find that those are the things that actually end up quite appealing. All right, Jade Wetherell, could I have a reading, please? You know what I got with you? I'm very visual, and it's sometimes a little bit whatever, but I'm just going to give it to you as I get it, because as soon as I grabbed the cards and started tuning in with you, I was like I was sitting out in the bush at night time, and you were sitting in front of this fire, and it was like there was just pool coming up in front of you that's there, and it was like just this energetical kind of hear me roar sort of moment. Just giving it to you as I get it. All right. And yeah, the thing is too, let me just for 1 second, that's there. It's funny, I always go, yeah, give it to you as I get it, and then get given more context. But when we connecting with ourselves, and I'm not saying that sitting in circles and all that sort of stuff isn't awesome, because it is. But when we're sitting with ourselves, when we're really kind of tuned in and believing of our own worth, power, energy, and all of those kind of bits and pieces that's there, we're conjurers. Fire and brimstone is what I got with you with that. And I was like, is that a negative or a positive thing to say? But for me, as I said, it was about conjuring. you know, and I don't want to be like witchy or magic, or I do as well, all of those things. I guess I just want to really emphasize that I feel that you're being called to really kind of just tune in and sit with your ability to sit with yourself as far as it goes. It's almost like, it's interesting as I say that, it's like it goes deep, it goes fast, and it goes hard, and you're like, nah, I'll come back to that later. And so it is time to actually sit with that, because you'll find that you've harnessed this this power within you. All right. Let me sit with you with your cards. All right. You know, it's interesting. As I said, I was laying in bed at 1 o'clock this morning thinking about my card deck. And interestingly, I was thinking about my yes, my no, and my maybe. And in particular, this card here, the no, because the yes comes down as an exaggerator, and it's always a clear, simple yes, you know. What I've actually learned and discovered, though, when I incorporate this card through the deck as a yes, a no, and a maybe, just so that they're there with it, the no never means no. You know, it always means no, stop. Stop. You're not doing this enough. And so you've got the no card, you've got the frustration card, and you've also got the catch the rainbow card that's there with you. Okay, so your card over the top of that is just stay connected. And that's what they're saying. Stop. You're not connecting with yourself enough at the moment. You need to really focus in on that energy. Yeah, there's a frustration that's there, but you're working towards something. Okay, and it's interesting, by laying down all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. I'm just kindly reminded that when we lay down our weapons and allow ourselves just to go and play for a little bit of time, answers and awareness and those kind of little bits and pieces actually come in. So you're right on the cusp of working out what it is that you actually need to be doing, okay? And there's a gentle reminder there that your goals are not impossible. And I specifically used a pot of gold and rainbow because there is a sense of fantasy attached with those things. And it is that reminder to have fun and be adventurous while we look towards our goals, because within play and fun and all of those things, as I said, we tend to connect to ourselves just a little bit more. All right, so I hope that helps. Thank you for joining me today. All right, just going to catch up with the comments. You're welcome. So guys, just while I give the cards a little bit of a quick shuffle, I just want to say thank you to everybody who has joined me today. I'm not ducking out just yet. Just want to say thank you for joining me. Always appreciate a follow on whichever platform that you're watching from. We've got Facebook and Instagram and YouTube going right now, which is really nice. I am at, what the hell do I keep getting? Wow, it's funny. Anyway, I'm just going to let that one go. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Yeah, it's fine. I'm trying to remember the name of the bloody suburb. Oh, my head's moving too quick. Trying to go, I'm going to be at this fair here, and I'm like, shit, what's the name of it? We'll come back to that one. All right, but yes, pre-bookings are open, and I'm very excited. It's the first time I've worked with the Body, Mind and Psychic Festival, and it is a super event. Heaps of good store holders that are there, and yeah, it's just, I'm looking forward to it, and I do believe I'm doing a mediumship demonstration as well. My God, Elizabeth. For some reason, I've got a name stuck in my head and I was did. So anyway, let's just let that go. You know, it's going to bug the shit out of me, don't you? There's probably like 5 of you sitting there right now going, you're working here, you dag. Oh, yeah, I know. How many of you are just going, get on with it right now? Thank you. Ballina. My God, I had Belligen in my head and I knew it wasn't Belligen and I could not get it out of my head. Ballina. And I'm very excited to be going. I think I'm going to organise a little camp trip either one side or the other. So, yeah. All right. Catch up with the comments. What does this one say? Can I ask about how does my boyfriend Demetrius feel about me and intentions? Demetrius is still flying by the seat of his pants, and I don't mean that in a necessarily bad way, but maybe a little bit still self-absorbed and maybe a little bit still selfish in those regards. But I also feel like we're kind of at that age where it's sort of the norm and we're allowed to be. So just be mindful. There's a decent enough energy here, but it definitely sits more like on the playful side, on the enjoyment side, those kind of little bits and things. I don't want to take away from like the respect or the depth here, but I do want to say, like, for example, if you guys were following through with a relationship, that I don't feel there's any like, oh yeah, I want to settle down, I want to move in together, I want to think about having a family for like another good several years. So just be mindful that what you want in this relationship and what he wants in this relationship is actually going to be on par. That isn't going to shift and change, okay? And so just be mindful. A lot of social activity around this person, those kind of things that are there, they are not looking to settle down. And as I said, it's not necessarily a poor reflection on their behavior or wants in a relationship, but they're definitely clear on their boundaries, I feel, around that, okay? Let me pull you a couple of cards. Okay, so you've got the sunset card that sits there, okay, and this card always talks about the end of an era, but tomorrow is a new day, that it is time to move forward. But when it talks about the sunset, but tomorrow's a new day, it's about taking the good things that are there as well and not just sort of leaving with the bad, okay? But it is the end of an era, a phase is trying to shift out. And this card here, the love card, it talks about the fact that you know yourself well enough to stand in your truth and your happinesses and your desires that's there. You've also got the beautiful spirit card that is just a reminder that you are supported and you are loved from people in spirit in and around with you, okay? So you're being implored to make the right choices and the right decisions and to trust your gut. This isn't the last opportunity you have for love or anything else like that with it. And I know that I can hear that what I'm saying to you is encouraging, a certain movement in a particular way. But the thing around it is you're going to figure that out as far as it sits with yourself, because you're going to feel like you're always being left behind. And so just be really mindful, okay, if that feeling does arise for you, what it means, and it's not going to shift out. So you can bang your head against the wall all you want. Very strong encouragement not to settle here, because you definitely have a really strong connection around marriage, family, children, those kind of little bits and pieces that's there. So don't sacrifice along the way, okay? Nice. We got into an argument this morning. Yeah, just use it as an opportunity for ownership, responsibility, clear communication, boundaries. Don't be afraid to, this is those things. Put everything out on the table and just let's see if this is actually flowing in the way that makes me feel heard and respected. And them too, of course, okay, because, the proof will always be in the pudding. Shayla, can I have some cards pulled, please? Yes, you can. Four-wheel drive super center email just came through. My God, those people will cost me everything I own. Joyda always needs something. Touch wood. All right, Shayla, let me focus on you. You've had a big year. It's not about to slow down anytime soon, but it's definitely a more flowy, productive energy in and around with you. Pardon me. You've got almost like an idea spark in here as far as it sits. I want to say business, and I'm going to say income attached to it as well. Keep it in the context to which it belongs. Sorry, I got a niggle in my throat. If you've been following through on any side income ideas and those kind of little things that are there, I definitely want to encourage you to follow through with them. Give me a second, sorry. It's like when you sit on the bus or a train or, don't have access to water and you get that tickle in your throat. All right, so you've got the frustration card that sits there. You've got the freedom card that sits there, and you've also got the catch the rainbow. Your goals are not impossible. So again, it's almost got that sense of like, oh my God, can I even catch a break here? as soon as I think I'm going to sit down, I'm moving again, I'm moving again, I'm moving again. And you know what? In a cheeky, with smiley, full of laughter kind of way, I want to go, your life's always going to be like that. It's like that's part of your energy. I think that you probably wouldn't feel settled if things were too calm as far as it goes, so putting that into play. Now there's some family energy in and around with you, and I want to say to you that will settle, but I feel like things need to be put into play. The biggest thing with you is you coming into your own. It's almost like I do want to move forward with you about 12 months, I want to say, but there's progressive energy the entire way through that. But as I'm standing there at the end of that 12 months, I feel like I'm actually finding time and finally, finding, when I say finally finding a little bit of support, I don't want to go everyone's been a bugger around that, but being able to stand strong enough and go, this is what I want to do for myself in this particular moment that's there. I do feel some study training or something of the likes attached to that as well. But given there's so much learning energy over the 12 months, I'm mindful just to stick it straight to a learning institution or something else like that with it that's there. But absolutely, if your energy, it's nice. I've read for you several times over time, and I feel like this is one of the first times there that it's like you're really feeling proud of yourself. You're really feeling proud of yourself and what you're achieving in and around with that. That little bit of financial flow and business energy and things like that with it, I do feel like it is attached with somebody as well, okay? And I do get a female energy attached with that. You can see I don't want to blow it out of the water and make it sound like it's, oh my God, you're going to have this and this and this. But I very much want to implore you, just pay attention. It's a physical thing that's there with it. So there's definitely labor involved with it. But gee whiz, it turns over and it's a strong energy. So pay attention to the little opportunities that will arise. You've got moving around you. I'm sorry, but I feel like, again, it's not in the immediate sort of vicinity as far as it sits, but I'm going to say over the next 18 months, there definitely feels to be a house move around you, okay? So I'll leave that there with you, and I hope that it helps. All right. So, guys, I'm going to do 2 more readings. I've been here for about an hour now. So I want to say thank you to everybody who has joined me this morning. I always like to say as well that I appreciate being here. All right. Sorry, I'm too busy reading comments. Julie. Can I have a reading if possible, please? Sure. All right, so I'm going to read for Julie, and then I'm going to read one more. Please, guys, if you haven't already on your way out, chuck me a thumbs or a heart up or a heart up. Those a thumbs up or a heart on the way out. It just helps boost my algorithm as far as it goes. Makes Facebook think people like me. This is my business. This is what I do. This is all I do. So it helps support me, my family, and Joyda. Can't forget about Joyda. Joyda's my van, in case anybody doesn't know. She's an old high ace that I saved up for and wanted for over a decade. All right, Julie. Let's focus. Okay. You wanted 2 on your last one, but it was interesting. They weren't next to each other. I pulled and All right. You got a little bit of uncertainty that sits there around with you, and you've got the healing card that sits there as well, which talks about being patient but allowing the healing to come in. And it always makes me smile, even when I get my own little validation processes on it. So don't mind my excitement as far as it goes. But I stopped for a moment after I pulled these first 2 cards out, because what I was getting was that you've had an opportunity to have that healing and to move forward and all of those kind of bits and pieces. And so as you've done all this work, perhaps you found that life doesn't feel as full around you at this point in time, and it was like, but now there's discovery and movement, and you're learning to step more into your own feet. And, I'm going to say be brave and courageous for want of a better word. It keeps coming into my head. I know it's silly. It's something that I've probably always done, but I'm going to, and when I say something that I've always done, I've always gone to like concerts and bits and pieces like that on my own. I'm going to the Labyrinth musical thing on the 12th of September in the Sydney ICC. Labyrinth's one of my favourite movies. What's that? Old movie, blah, blah, blah. Super excited. And so you can see just even the context is there, and even as I sit with your energy, it's like if you were my best mate, I'd be like, look, dude, I know, I really honestly know that it's been hard, but as your best friend, I'm allowed to make you promises, and so I'm going to go. But I promise you, what you're walking into is everything you wanted, And it's I don't want to over exaggerate that. I don't want to sound cliche, but that is exactly what it is that I want to say. You've got the sunset card there, which talks about, an end of an era. It's the end of a phase. And that for me was just that beautiful validation that, that you've done it. You're allowing yourself to move forward. Don't be afraid to embrace and to enjoy it. The second card that wanted to come out, and interestingly, as I said, they weren't next to each other. It come out from 4 cards up, is the spirit card. Just letting you know that you're loved, you're blessed, and you're looked after, and all of those beautiful things that spirit offers us. But, most of all, it's just that little bit of encouragement that you've got this, all right? And so, yeah, it's interesting because it's like it's like you've fallen over, you've scraped your knee, and you've got this scabby there, and you're feeling a bit sore on your knee. But meanwhile, I'm sitting there and I'm going, yeah, but look at the fresh skin that's going to come underneath it. This is awesome. And so I hope that I have helped with that within my excitement for you. But be adventurous, be brave, be courageous. And you're going to find that life very much sort of follows you over the next 12 months with that, okay? And then some moving on to as well. But what you've lost will be replaced. That was the very significant message that come through when I first started reading for you, okay? All right. Yeah, I know. I had to get that oh my God, it's done it again. Why is Belgian in my head? I'm going to sit with that after we finish this reading because Ballina is what should be in my head. All right. You're very welcome. Very, very welcome. All right, Sharon, Boston, you can be my lucky last for today. And so, guys, as you all start clicking out, again, always appreciate a thumbs or a hearts up. If you don't follow me already, always appreciate that as well. But other than that, I hope that you all have a beautiful day. I hope that the rest of your week is blessed, and I look forward to seeing you on my next live feed. All right, Sharon, Boston. Hi from Sydney. Anything for me, please? All right, Sharon. Sharon. Nice. Okay. You've got the growth card, which talks about opportunity and awareness and potential. And note, as I said, I've put the tree of life on this card for a particular reason, because growth is growth, but the growth of the tree, it goes through processes and cycles and seasons and all of those kind of little bits and pieces that's there. It needs the right balance to be able to come into fruition and all of that energy. And so it's just, I feel like for you in particular, this card's a really strong validation that, again, that hard work's starting to pay off, all right? It's nice. This card came out on its own, and so I grabbed it because it was sitting up, pulled the cards across, and it was sitting right there. And so I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm meant to have this one. And that's that seal the deal, making a commitment to move forward, all right? And you've got the completions cards. One door closes and the other one closes. So it's like by making that choice and decision, it's like, boom, it's done, let's go. We don't always get a chance to breathe or second guess or do anything else like that in and around with it. But this card here is always about regeneration, okay? And so I always liken it to like when the bush has been burnt and it can look so, black and dismal and those kind of things. And obviously keeping the respect of the damage and the loss that has occurred through there. When we drive back through several weeks later, it's full of regeneration and green shoots and those kind of little bits and pieces. And it's actually quite a beautiful sight. And so that's the energy that sits there in and around with you, okay? It's like you've done the work. Now's the time to make that decision. But just know once that decision's made, it's going to come in hard and fast. What is that decision? That decision for me, it feels like it's sitting around intentions as far as it sits. And so I don't want to make it overly dramatic as far as it sits, as far as it goes. I notice that I'm saying that a fair bit when I sit with you, because there's a complexity to the energy that is here. I can very much bring it back and go, okay, well, it comes down to intentions, mindful, those kind of little things with it that's there. But then all these plans sort of start unfolding off the back of it, okay? In particular, definitely strength of house comes up, that's there too. And I don't feel like, again, it's right here on the doorstep. It's like the plans are there now to put into play. Okay, so you've done the work. Don't be afraid to make some big decisions off the back of that. But when you do, just know the decisions you make will be final. Okay, so take time to know that you're making the right ones. All right. And even if you need to keep that in the general context, keep it in that general. But specifically, in particular, your financial side of things that's there is putting you in a position where you're going to actually be able to start moving forward and make choices and decisions. And again, just for the sake of sakeness, I just want to emphasize I'm not sitting on a quick journey with that. I'm sitting on a journey. Okay. So I'll leave that there with you, and I hope that it helps. All right, guys, thank you very much for your time. I always appreciate the company. And if you haven't already, again, please follow my page. I'm just trying to think when I'll be live again next. I'm not 100% sure, but I will put it up on the page when I am. So for now, as I always say, if you can't be good at it.